Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Morning Meta. I am yours truly, Travis Spencer.
I'm Camilla Crawley.
Camilla, as always, we have wonderful, wonderful guests on Community Conversations.
Yes, I'm really excited about this conversation. We have a special guest who is near and dear to my heart, so I can't wait to get into that conversation.
Okay, awesome. Let's get started then.
Now, before we get started with our special guest, let me remind everyone about our seasonal themes informing our mindfulness practices. First is honoring and nourishing the light within. Doing your best, noticing growth, gaining clarity on your true path, and finding meaning in your journey. Our next theme, abundance and manifestation. Patiently waiting with trust and confidence for your intentions to reach full manifestation. Our third theme is sacred pause, slowing down, being present, and reflecting on what's already here with gratitude before rushing to what comes next. And finally, peace as practice, remembering to appreciate the present and embrace the cycles of life. All right, everyone. So, our special guest today, Jacqueline Oselen, who is someone near and dear to my heart that I met. I can't believe it's been 7 years at this point that I met a while ago because I was looking and searching for community when I was in Memphis, and I found Jackie in the Sapphire Sister Circle. But through that, I became a friend to Jackie. Well, Jackie became the friend to me and opened up her world to me. And it's just such a beautiful spirit and lovely person. So I'm really honored to have her as our guest today. I know her as a yoga instructor, as a coach, as someone who's heavily involved in the community. So many different hats and things that Jackie has under her repertoire. But I'm going to let her share more about herself now. So, Jackie, go ahead and just let us know who you are and what you like to share with the audience.
Well, greetings, Morning Meta community. Travis and Camilla, thank you for the invitation. And let me just say, Camilla also opened herself up to me as a friend. It happened simultaneously. It was just divine that we were meant to connect then for such a time as this now. So I'm just excited to be here. But I am Jacqueline Oselen. That's a mouthful to say, so folks just call me Jackie O. But I am a native Memphian who absolutely loves the city of Memphis. I'm the mother to three young adult sons and a daughter in love, and I have a tremendous village of daughters and sons who are my village daughters and village kids. And so I'm just really grateful to have community and family as some of the most important and most valuable parts of my life. I have a background professionally as a 30-year nonprofit professional. And from that work, I really was able to live a beautiful life of impacting the Memphis community with supporting women and children and youth around economic empowerment and post-secondary education. And so that work really aligned with my values, what I felt was important, what I needed as a mother to be able to sustain at times being a single mom, a divorced mom, a married mom. I've been through all of that journey. And what I realized after doing that work for almost 30 years is I started noticing some shifts in my health. And I was very healthy. And I was like, oh, no, 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 we're not going to do this. What's going on? And I don't even think I had the language for burnout at the time, but that's what was happening. I was burning out. And I knew that if I didn't decide then to stop and pause and really decide what did I want to do with my life, how did I want my life to feel every day, I would continue on this hamster wheel of I'll get around to it later. And so wellness was an area that I had been growing in alongside of my professional career. I'd become certified as a yoga teacher and just always had an interest in the connection of who we are as humans besides just the physical dimension. Going all the way back to high school here at Central High School, I knew there was something else to us that was a mind body connection. And so I decided that going into the wellness industry would be my next career. And I did. I took a leap of faith and transitioned out of nonprofit and decided to become a holistic wellness coach specifically to support nonprofit leaders, community leaders, and folks who were making a difference in their communities at the expense of their health, at the expense of their well being, and sometimes at the expense of their lives. And so that is the work that I've been doing for the last 10 to 12 years.
Wow. Wonderful. I'm just listening to you, and I feel like there's going to be so many people that will be able to relate to that point of, like you said, maybe not necessarily having the language, but what's happening is the burnout, right? And so, I guess for me, my question is, um, when you started that journey, did it feel like something that was easy for you because you had already made up your mind, like, this is what I'm going to do? Or did you find it challenging to start that journey because you were so used to living in a way that was leading to the burnout? What was that journey like initially?
Yeah, that's a great question, Camilla. Both and I was relieved to have the space to just be able to not live in such a rigorous and structured way. But then I was like, well, what does that look like? What do I do with myself now? And am I supposed to just be sitting here not doing anything, or should I go ahead and make another to-do list and cross one thing off? And so it was an adjustment because we are acclimated to be performers, to be doers, and to live our lives according to what we can measure and check off. And that's how the quality and the worth of who we are is measured. And so it did take me away. And there are times now I'm still in that space of being like, it's okay. Today is a day where you don't have to do anything. And so it takes time to unlearn those learnings and those habits and those tendencies that are part naturally of our DNA, but also a part of the greater culture that we live in. So it was a balance of ease and challenge and struggle, establishing a new way of being and not just doing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I'm curious because I have worked in nonprofit. I know that even now we sometimes partner with nonprofit and things like that. Was there anything that you found like common across the board in terms of when you started to work in that wellness space, maybe coaching, doing yoga and things like that? So as you started to work with the nonprofits and people maybe working in those sectors, were there some things that came up that you're kind of saying like, okay, this is starting to be a theme here
Mhm.
um, with this clientele?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I noticed was just the awareness that individuals did not have, that it was okay not to be the martyr or not to just give until you can't give anymore. That was just not a part of the psyche or the awareness that even though I'm working in this space of giving, that doesn't mean that I give at the expense of my well being. So that awareness just wasn't there. With the leadership of organizations, but also with those individuals who are making the mission happen. There just wasn't a culture, there wasn't just any space for that, knowing that, we hear people say, I will sleep when I'm dead. And I'm like, it just comes from a place of ignorance because that's how we have been wired and how we have been perceived as
Mhm.
humans, especially as Black people, as property to work and to get things done. The other thing I noticed was that there was not an understanding of the importance of budgeting and setting aside financial resources to support the well-being of teams. That was a line item that was just as important as
Mhm.
accounting and other expenses that were necessary to carry out the mission. The other thing that was really alarming is that when organizations did decide to figure out a way to offer wellness or to carve out space, employees just didn't know how to show up to receive it. They didn't know how to turn themselves off and just be still for 15 minutes. There was an organization that decided to give their staff a sabbatical, to start incorporating sabbatical as a part of their values. And they brought me in to say, hey, we need you to help us transition into sabbatical and help folks to understand what this is, what this is not, because we already know they're going to be tiptoeing back into their emails. They're going to be sneaking,
Mhm.
time the rest to go ahead and try to get this little project moved ahead. And so we spent a couple of sessions really bringing the practicality to what this means for you to have an entire month off from work and to know it's okay, and to know that that to-do list, that project, that deadline is going to still be there when we come back from sabbatical. So those are some of the things that I noticed.
Oh, wow. I mean, you're like preaching to the choir here because I know that we can also relate to, like you said, um, like the culture is not in place. And even when there are offerings, so in my head, sometimes I'm thinking like, oh, wow, this is going to be great. And then on the other side, people may not really know what to do with it because they're not, they're not used to it. And I just want to mention before we hand it over to you to speak, is that as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about even some of our other guests, this is really a conversation where sometimes we don't bring up the systemic aspect of it. And you kind of touching on it, talking about the culture, but even like historically. So with African Americans, people of African descent in this country, thinking about how this has become ingrained because there was the enslavement of Africans, and then there was a certain way that they had to live to survive, but then that survival turned into habits and things that were passed down. So even now I think a part of the conversations that we have around wellness should absolutely include some of that sort of like some of those socio-historical perspectives, so people understand like, hey, there's nothing wrong with us, but we do need to be aware that this comes from this place, and that we have the power and the resourcing to change those patterns, because I think over time we've become identified with that, like, okay, well, that's just how it is in our community, or just that's just how we are. We hustle and we go and grind and all the things. And it's not to say that people shouldn't work hard or want things, but I think understanding that initially this is coming from a place of survival, and that
Mhm.
now we have an opportunity to kind of open that up, and it doesn't have to look like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agreed. As you were saying that, Camilla, the thing that I was thinking about is that it's not our fault. It's not our fault that we struggle with resting. It's not our fault that we struggle with understanding it is okay to pause and not have to be in performance mode all the time, because a lot of this, as you mentioned, is genetic, it is energetic, it's spiritual in terms of how this has been passed down from generation to generation. And even though it's not our fault, we do have a responsibility individually, but also collectively, to shift these norms and to create norms that better serve us. When Tricia Hershey talks about rest is resistance, what that means is that I'm going to resist this notion that I have to work overtime, or that I have to miss my child's performance, or that I can't take a mental wellness day just for the sake of taking it. I am resisting against you saying I can't do that, because I can. I'm entitled to doing that. And so it's important that those of us who have the awareness, practitioners such as yourself and Travis and myself, that we continue to be advocates for this and warriors around this, and create containers and spaces for us and by us. Because the master's tools can't heal us. We have to have our own tools and our own spaces of safety, where individuals can see what it feels like to be relaxed, where their nervous systems can feel safe, and they can have that place of clarity and presence to be able to speak up for themselves and to advocate for what they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we want to, I know you already got started, but we want to go ahead and let you just really have the floor and share if there's anything on your heart and mind um, with our audience.
Yes, yes. If you would, Camilla, read that first and third theme. I think those two are two that I wanted to bring some intentionality around as we prepare to go deeper into our conversation today.
Hmm. The first theme was the honoring and nourishing the light within.
Mm.
This one says, do your best, noticing growth, gaining clarity on your true path, and finding meaning in your journey. And then the third is sacred pause,
Mhm.
slowing down, being present, and reflecting on what's already here with gratitude before rushing to what comes next.
Beautiful. Sacred pause and honoring the light within. It is important to pause and be present with yourself. If you think about it, when we're driving down the street, the systems that we have around keeping traffic in order is a red light, the yellow light, the green light. And that yellow light is cautionary. It says to slow down. It's time to shift the speed that you're at. It's time to shift the intensity with which you're driving. Because if you don't, when the light on the opposite side of the traffic changes, there's going to be a collision. And so, similar with ourselves, we are oftentimes on green and on go continuously. And our bodies, our minds, our spirits are always communicating. But in particular, the body is continually sending us messages and signals. And because we've not been trained, acclimated, taught to respect, to listen, to honor our bodies as sacred, we just disregard those signals. But the yellow sign, the yellow light is there. It goes from a stationary light to a flashing light, and it speeds up and it goes faster. And oftentimes we disregard that yellow light. It's bringing us information. And inevitably, we're going to hit that collision in the road where we are forced to stop. The sacred pause offers us that opportunity to develop a rhythm of paying attention before we get to a crisis moment. We are accustomed to living in the tyranny of the moment, having to be hyper vigilant, continuously responding to threats and dangers, or even things that are perceived dangers that keeps our adrenaline, our cortisol, those stress hormones going, going, going. But if we can just make the commitment to say, and it's a practice. We have to start small and have some wins and build from there. But if we can decide that once a day, I'm going to just check in with me at the beginning of the day, the end of the day, the middle of the day, but just make it a practice. It only takes a minute, 60 seconds. We often ask others, how are you doing? How are you feeling? But when was the last time you said, Travis, how am I feeling today? Camilla, how am I feeling today? Shaquita, how am I feeling today? And so a sacred pause allows you to come back home to yourself. We are our home. We are the sacred home of I. And so a simple practice such as just lowering your gaze or closing your eyes and placing your right hand at your heart and your left hand at your lower abdomen. And if you can't do anything else except just feel your heartbeat and give thanks for your heartbeat, knowing that there is no other heartbeat like yours out of the billions of people on the planet. And while you're there, just ask yourself, how am I feeling? And know that there is no right or wrong feeling. There is no shame to the feeling. It's just an acknowledgement. It may not even be an opportunity to do anything about it, but just to simply be with yourself. You owe that to yourself because you're with everybody else in their energy all day long. So, when taking these sacred pauses, if we make this a practice over time, we can come back and honor that light within us and acknowledge I am worthy. It's not based on how many hours I work. It's not based on the performance review where they gave me a 1% raise that I won't even see because it's going to be consumed by taxes. But I am brilliant. I am creative with my hands. I have a gift that no one else can give. But only by taking this pause and connecting with the source and the energy of who you are we able to acknowledge and honor the light within us. Each of us has a light. God put it there, Spirit put it there. But unfortunately, the conditions in which we live as Black people, the constraints that are put on us, the systems within which we have to function, often dims our light. And so, taking that moment to come back home, if you think about it, when you go and travel, you have a wonderful time. But what do we say? There's no place like home. And so, nurturing that home of yourself by taking that time to pause with a cup of tea, your favorite cup of coffee, you owe that to yourself. Feel the warmth of the cup. Smell the aroma of what you're drinking. Though you cannot rush through a hot cup of liquid, you're gonna burn your tongue. So if you want to practice pausing, practice the awareness of, okay, it takes me a little bit longer to drink this hot liquid, and it's designed that way. It's designed for you to be soothed by the warmth of it, by the aroma of it. And so just giving yourself that moment, it's not wasted time.
Mhm.
The time we take to nurture ourselves, to care for ourselves, is never wasted time. It is precious and it is sacred.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it was. Oh, I don't know.
Get passionate about this. I do because I've made the shift. I'm a list maker. I'm a
Mm,
check it off the
me.
list person. Let me add one more thing since I checked that off. And it's been, oh gosh, almost 8 years now since I stepped away from my previous career. And I'm still unlearning. I'm still disentangling.
Hmm.
It's everyday practice. And so what I offer is that we have to be graceful with ourselves, compassionate with ourselves. And if we're having difficulty accessing that, have an accountability partner, have someone around you, or join a care community that can help you to practice a new way of living and being with yourself.
Hmm.
Because it does take time, but a little bit over time will go a very long way.
Hmm. I really enjoy what you just shared. I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's given me a lot of food for thought, and I think our audience will also have some things to think about as they digest what you've shared. So, my question is, if there was a young person who were thinking about stepping out on their own to pursue something that they love, um, can you share what would you invite them to put in place
Mhm.
as they step out to pursue their vision in their life and their calling?
Mhm. Yeah, for our young people, the first thing I would say is to have a trusted adult or mentor who you can confide in, who you can share with, who you can be vulnerable with. That is very important. Research has shown that when young people have that trusted person in their lives, their outcomes are drastically different. And so that's the first thing I would say. It may not be a parent, it may be someone outside of your family, but have that trusted person. And then you may need to have more than one. So, in case that person has not turned out to be who you thought they would be, you have someone else you can talk to.
Mhm.
The other thing I would recommend is to really be spiritually grounded. And spirituality looks different for everyone, but every being has a spirit and a soul. And so identify for yourself what those practices are that you can maintain, where you can sharpen your intuition, where you can learn how to hear from spirit, know spirit's voice, but to also know your voice. And then the third thing I would say is just give yourself permission to explore and to fail and to redirect and to try it again. Most of us are multi talented, multi hyphenated, I think is the word that creatives use. But be open to that multitude of gifts and talents that you have, and ask Spirit, what is it that I'm being called to do? Who am I being called to serve? How is this serving me? How is it nourishing me first as I give it to others? So, having a trusted mentor, being spiritually grounded, and be open to your gifts and how you're being asked to use those to make a difference in the world.
Mm, thank you. Yeah.
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 I really enjoyed what you shared also, Jackie. It's just reminding me that really everything that you shared is about life. I know sometimes when it comes to some of the practices and things that we talk about, they get framed in just to like, oh, just use it, when you're stressed, just use it when this happens. But the way that you shared it really speaks to that all of this is about a life practice,
Hmm.
really making it as simple as, like you said, with the tea,
Yeah.
just when you have your tea or your coffee or whatever, being able to take that time. And that's a practice in itself. So I love that for people to kind of sit with that. It doesn't have to be this thing where you think, oh, I got to have a room set up just for this thing. I got to have a whole hour so I can sit. And it's like, no, it's, all throughout the moments of your life is when this practice is happening. So I want to ask, you mentioned about your journey and stepping out and doing all the wonderful, beautiful things that you're called to do. So my question is, what would you give as advice, or you can even share it from your own experience in terms of someone also thinking about stepping out on a journey to pursue their calling, and it may ask of them to do certain things that that you've done, in terms of, like, you were in a certain career for a while and then decided to do this, because I think that the journey can be just like with changing health habits. When you decide to step out in the way that you have, there might be moments because things are not really going the way that you want them to, or the way you envision, that you're kind of like, oh wait, am I doing the right thing? So some self-doubt may creep in, um, or it may just seem like things are really difficult at times, and people may not know how to get through it. So what's your advice for when someone steps out, and then the normal things that happen in the process happen, like sometimes where, hey, it's a little rocky now on this journey.
Ooh, how much time we get? Let's see. All right. I would say that being an entrepreneur is one of the most challenging experiences that one can have. It is so worth it, but it just inherently the nature of entrepreneurship, especially for Black people and for Black women, when oftentimes the resources and the access is not as readily available. And there are times when it is available, we may not be as prepared to take advantage of it.
Hmm.
One of the things I would say is I know that temptation and that urge to step away from the 9 to 5 and go directly, exclusively into your business, it can be really tempting to do that. And what I would say is to spend as much time and devotion as you can prior to stepping out, to get some systems in place, to get clear about the support that you need, the resources that are needed to stabilize you as you begin to build. Build from a solid foundation. Sometimes we don't have the time or the ideal opportunities to be able to make that happen, but if you can, just hold on and spend some devoted time getting that foundation in place, so that once you start building your business, you're building from a solid foundation versus a sandy one. The other thing I would say is to put together a team, a talent team, somebody who understands finance, understands those important pillars of a successful business. Again, doing that beforehand, saying, hey, this is the direction I want to go in. What do you think about this? Does this look like it's sustainable? But taking the time to build a foundation. Once you're in the business, believe in your niche and what you're called to do. Be very, very clear. Sometimes we are trying to do too many things for too many people. And yes, we may be good at doing many things, but what is the one thing in this season that God is calling you to do? How are you being called to make an impact? And trust that, be focused on that. And the final thing is to incorporate rest. Again, you can get burned out just as easily and just as quickly with being an entrepreneur as you can being an employee. So determining when and how are you going to put those boundaries in place? How will you put those safeguards in place so that you're not grinding on this hamster wheel where you feel like you cannot get off? So determining that ahead of time, because once you're in it, once you dive in, your head's down and you're just going, 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 going. And then finally, having a trusted source, a trusted community where you can go to if you need to cuss, if you need to cry, if you need to quit and start all over again. But having that safe space is so important for your mental and emotional well being. That may even include a licensed mental health professional, but making sure that you have a place you can go to be able to nourish yourself, take care of yourself, but to also be able to be vulnerable and transparent. Because there are going to be some days where you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, I know that I've learned some things the hard way, so I can definitely resonate with some of the things that you've shared.
Hold on, one more thing. Ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for help and delegate. Hey, I'm not good at this. This is what I'm good at. Can you help me with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to what our ancestors have known for hundreds and hundreds of years before coming here to America, being in community and being relational, knowing that we have to be able to ask for help and be able to accept and give help as well. And I find that in our culture here in America, um, the illusion of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, or I can do it myself, or independent thinking and things like that. So I love that you mentioned that, asking for help, um, finding a mentor, being a part of community. All of those things I think is so important um, to manifesting your personal vision and collective vision of a community. So thank you so much for that.
Mhm. Yes, and speaking of community, I know I mentioned it early on. One of the ways that I became connected with you. So, I mean, I love before we get out of here. I'd love for you to share about the Sapphire Sister Circle, just sort of, how that first came about, and then after that, then of course share with us all the other wonderful things that you have going on as well.
Yeah. So what Camilla's referring to is a sacred circle for women that I've convened over the years, virtually, in person, hybrid. And that just really comes from my love of gathering the women. I've typically always been the one in my friend circle who will make sure everybody celebrates their birthdays. I always am very intentional about what I want to do to celebrate my birthday, especially after 9/11 happened. I'm a 9/11 baby. And so I start months in advance thinking about how am I going to be intentional about marking the importance of life, bringing others into that experience and memory making. And so the sacred circle was just a space for women to be able to come together with other women who were sharing similar experiences, a place of vulnerability, a place of being witnessed, not necessarily a place to get advice. If someone wanted that, they could, but oftentimes we just need a place to be heard, to be able to release, and to be affirmed. And so over the years, for over a decade, we've done these experiences. There have been times when I've taken a pause and didn't do them, and then the spirit be like, no, it's time to redo them again. And so they've evolved over the years. Right now, my work is focused on supporting women in menopause. So modern menopause is the brand for that. And it is encouraging women, equipping women to embrace the change as they lead. Many executive women, high functioning women who are responsible for $1 million budgets and payrolls are also navigating the change that comes with menopause. And so that is what the Sacred Circle experience is offering now, is focused on now. And we center it around the full moon each month, sometimes the new moon, depending on the dates, but primarily the full moon, but bringing in that Kemetic wisdom and that connection of ourselves and our bodies to the moon cycles and to nature. And so those are being held in person. I will expand to virtual later in the fall of this year. And also, the other thing that I offer is workplace wellness consulting, where I work with organizations and leadership around creating an ecosystem and a culture of well being as a pillar for sustainable leadership. Black folks are killing themselves working, literally. Our bodies are giving out from the weathering of being a Black person in America, but also the weathering that happens because of the conditions in which we work. And so, a lot of my work with these organizations is helping them to understand the importance of identifying and acknowledging that well-being at work is a value of the organization, and them investing in that and what that means for their staff. So those are the primary things I'm working on now. Alongside of that, the organization that I co-founded, Memphis Black Healers Collective, we are a community-based organization that is made up of alternative holistic practitioners who are committed to bridging the wellness gap for the Black and Brown community here in Memphis. And a large part of our work has centered around Black mental wellness, Black maternal health and wellness, and Black men's health. Although Black folks have disparities across all of the health dimensions, those were three here in Memphis that we noticed really had a deficit and needed some more attention. So we've hosted a Black Yoga and Mental Wellness Festival for several years. We come alongside of our social justice and activist community and create spaces of care for them to step out of that work into a space of care. That's been very difficult, y'all, to get them to show up and to receive it. So we keep offering it. We keep holding the space. It's also for our creatives because oftentimes they are burned out from working traditional jobs and trying to build their creative career. So right now our work is focused on rest and nervous system regulation as a way of sustainability for these folks, for these individuals, for these organizations who are on the ground, working against the heavy policing that's happening in our area, working against political injustice at the polls. And so during election season, the last primary election we held space for folks to process what just happened with this election. And so we had people coming into the space just to cry and to weep or just to be silent. But our work is creating a community of care and a movement around the truth that Black rest matters, Black joy matters, Black resistance matters. And we are here to provide what's needed for that to be the norm and not the exception.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some wonderful work being
Beautiful
done,
work.
Jackie.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you, much appreciation for being our guest. As I said, I love you. You're dear to my heart. And I want to just let everyone know that, I have participated and engaged in the Sapphire Sister Circles. I went to one of the Black Yoga and Mental Wellness um, events that they had one year. And in Memphis, they're just doing wonderful work. And it's a lot of beautiful people there that I met during my time there. So I wanted to, put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Memphis is a cultural city. It is a music mecca. And so we really like to look at the assets that we have, our gifts, our talents, our cultural assets, and normalize how we use those for everyday healing. Like you said, you don't have to wait until you can go on a big retreat or go somewhere else. How is music medicine for you every single day?
Mm-hmm.
How is creative artistic expression music for you every single day? How is coming together in a multi-generational setting and talking about our history and being that griot. How is that healing for us? And so just
Mhm.
normalizing how our everyday experiences and our gifts and talents can be the medicine we need to heal. Because if we're waiting for somebody else to show up and do it, they are not.
Mm.
It's not our
Mhm.
fault, but it is our responsibility around individual care and collective care.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said a mouthful
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm. You hit it right on the head there.
Mhm.
So before we get out of here, we like to ask our guests to complete some sentence stems. So I'm going to give you 3 sentence stems. The first one is healing in African American and African descended communities looks like, and then you finish it with whatever comes to you.
Okay. It looks like Black joy, Black rest, and Black connection.
Mm. All right. And community to me looks like.
Hmm. Community to me looks like gathering at Black Seeds Urban Farms with keeping a P on the ones and twos and bringing folks up to the microphone for spoken word. Chief Reefa, my Reefa Arnett, spinning his music in the background, seeing the children running around, looking at the plants and the vegetables and the herbs and being awed by that, and just feeling the earth beneath my feet.
Mm.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And finally, joy to me looks like.
Whew, let's see. Joy to me looks like being able to take a nap and just stop when I can't do anything else. Joy to me looks like laughing with my friends and my besties. Joy to me looks like just hanging out with my sons, walking down the street and taking in the sights of Memphis.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone, we are going to put all of Jackie's information in our newsletter. Make sure you check it out so that you can connect and continue to engage with Jackie with all of the wonderful work that she's doing.
Yes, yes. All right, good people. So, we come here every day to support you in being grounded, intentional, and connected. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe.